Welcome back to episode 7 of Wyandot Lake, our Planet Coaster to water park. Today's going to be a super fun episode as we're going to be working on the heart and soul of any water park, our slides and pools. So we're going to start here with Whispering Waters, which of course is our slide complex. And what we're going to be doing is adding a canopy to the top. I feel like whenever I drive by water parks, they have canopies at the top. But now that I'm looking at this, I'm not sure. So if anybody knows the answer to that, please let me know, because I'm very curious now. But I feel like this is something that they have. So we are going to have to move the slides a little bit. So we'll have to adjust that and kind of resmooth and everything. And we talked about this a little bit before, but the slides are probably going to change again anyways, just purely because the game now has better physics in it. And these slides were built, I think this was November 21st. That's when this was recorded. So obviously a long time ago in terms of the development of the game. And so I think we'll probably see a change in the physics and how these work, and they're probably not going to work, so we'll have to change those again anyways. But this structure that we're building now will remain. And so we are going to go ahead and cover the wooding. Words are hard. We're going to cover the railing with wood. This is actually something that really bothers me with the game, and that is that these platforms, you can't really seem to change their colors. You also can't really seem to change the railings, and then like right here, why do we have this massive gap on the staircase? Like, somebody's gonna fall there. Is that not a safety hazard? So Frontier, come on, what are we doing? But until the day comes, and hopefully the day will eventually come when you can change the colors, and maybe even the material would be kind of cool. But we're going to go ahead and cover this up with wood just to kind of give it that look. I also think it would be kind of cool if you could have wood structured instead of these steel structures. That would just be super cool. Because also, like, the two big pipes running underneath it, not a fan. So we're gonna add in these supports as well. I really wish I could get rid of those default ones, because it just doesn't look good. But I will say this was a struggle. I feel like there's a lot of really good and really cool wood pieces in here, but for whatever reason, I just feel like it's hard to find one that just fits and just feels like what you want. I also think I was having some problems, if I remember correctly, with the axis on this, which I think was making it challenging. But it does end up coming out really well. And I do wish we could just kind of default platforms this way. We end up putting in a music thing. This is something that I struggle with. I struggled with this going back to Planet Coaster 1, but that is music in the parks. So if you are really good at music with the parks, and you're very familiar with the soundtracks within the Planet Coaster 2 series and kind of what's in the game, let me know what soundtracks I should have for certain areas of the park, because I really do struggle with that. And I don't even know if I picked one out, but we've got a speaker in here. So let me know below kind of what would you put here? And then what kind of music would you put really throughout the park in all the different areas? So that's something I do want to focus on with the park, is just having that, but it's just not my specialty. We also are going to eventually, we'll do it here in a minute. One more thing that bothers me, right there, that gap, right above the pool, or not the pool, the slide entrance. I feel like there needs to be a beam. And I can't remember if we go in and put one in or not, but that again just feels like that needs to have a little more security. And this might maybe just go back to why I hate water parks in general, because maybe that is how water parks really are. I am petrified of heights. I mean, just absolutely terrified. And so it is quite possible that while I've not been to a water park in probably 10 years, actually longer than that, it's probably been about 12 or 13 years at this point. But it's quite possible that part of the reason I don't like them is because that is actually how it is. So let me know also if that's really how it is. I can't imagine it is. I have to imagine that there's maybe a little more secure, right? Like right there, that has to be a little more secure. And in fact, I'm looking at that, and I know you've got the high wall options. I'm thinking we might need to go back and add the high wall, because either I'm just really brave with roller coasters and a really big baby when it comes to water rides, or that's just not how it should be. So when we go back and redo that, we might have to do that. But yeah, eventually we'll cover that kind of green space up with kind of a wood platform as well. Comes out, looks really well. Ends up being fairly expensive, but we're well ahead of budget at this point. And so I think we budgeted $150,000. Let's see here, $100,000. No, $150,000. For this area of the park, $100,000 for the entry plaza. Obviously, we've only spent about 180, just shy of 180, and so we've got about 70,000 left to play with. And the most expensive part is going to be our buildings, which are done, and our slides, which are done. I will have to do a little more with the foliage, which will get kind of expensive. But not too bad. These lights also, I love these lights. In the first game, they were kind of that 2D look. I think it was a part of a DLC even, and they just didn't really put off a lot of light. They looked really cool, kind of, but man, I love these. I feel like they're a style that is coming back. There's a restaurant just down from my house that has these, and every time I drive by, I'm like, this place just looks really cool. And I've gone there a few times for dinner with my roommates, and we've hung out there, and every time we go there, I'm just like, man, I just really love the atmosphere out here. And so I just think they had kind of a fantasy atmosphere, and they just look wonderful. But yeah, no, this whole platform ends up looking at really good. The only thing, looking at this now, I'm wondering if I need kind of a crisscross pattern going up. Would a structure like this, somebody that knows structure a little more, would a structure like this be able to have 4 straight posts going up, or would you need to have some cross bracing in there as well? Let me know, because we're going to come back and probably redo the slides. I've not ran them, I've not tested them, I don't know how they're going to work with the new physics, but I can't imagine that all 3 of them will work. So let me know kind of what we'll do there. So over here, we are going to work on the queue line here in a second. Right about now. There we go. So I know this doesn't need a queue line, which is kind of funny. When I built this, I hadn't really seen any gameplay that showed the way these staircases work. I think in my head, I was worried that the staircases, like, they were going to have a queue line, and they were going to sit at the bottom of the staircase and then just go to the top. I was so excited when I saw that people will actually get in line and kind of go up the staircase, and the staircase can actually work as a queue line. So I know we don't really need a queue line. And this, by the way, I think last episode I was saying I wish lights were brighter. This is one of those locations. I really wish we had brighter lights, because I think these look so much better than what I ended up going with. But is what it is, you know, wish list item maybe someday. But what we ended up doing is we kind of wrapped it around this cabana area, and it allowed us to really create that kind of closed off cabana, kind of that reserved area, but then also on the other side, I talked about a couple times wanting kind of adult areas, it left a little kind of seating area that would just be a little bit quieter than maybe the rest of the themed area, and would just be absolutely wonderful as kind of a little area for just, adults to sit without kids. It's on the deep end, so kids probably aren't going to be down on that end as much anyways. And it just really let us kind of divide it up that way and create these two little areas. Yeah, right here is kind of this area. And when we go in and we put in the foliage and the fencing, it really comes out really well. I think we'll do that in the next episode. But it just looks absolutely wonderful. And you see it at night here, it just looks beautiful. And the cabanas as well, super excited with how those turned out. And I really wish, again, we could just get those to actually be a thing in the game. So let's talk a little bit about the ride name, because we're going to go ahead and build the sign here, which the sign actually came out so well. I'm not really that good with signs. It's just always something I've struggled with. But I think the signs for really this entire area, including the entry signs, which we'll do here in a little while as well, just came out so well. I just think that canvas look is perfect for kind of this area. But the name is Whispering Waters. So that's what we went with, is Whispering Waters. And I kind of went back and forth. The reason is because lakes are very serene, right? You might have some rip currents here or there, but for the most part, they're generally kind of pretty calm. They're nice vacation destinations. But water itself hides many things, including in lakes, right? You've got riptides, which can be incredibly dangerous as well, right? You have rocks. It feels like far too often, people jump off not realizing what's below. And so water can offer a lot of dangers. And so I wanted a name that kind of conveyed the hidden intensity that water can bring with it. And that's where the whispering part came from, right? Because you have the water, right? You have what you see with the water. But then you have the whispering, because it's telling you stuff, right? It's telling you something that you can't necessarily hear if you don't listen quietly. You don't necessarily see if you don't look closely. And so that's kind of where the name came from. And then each slide is named after a different type of flowing water. So we've got creek, right? Creeks are very slow, they're very serene. And then we've got stream. It's a little more intense. It is still fairly calm though. And then river, which I believe is the center one, which is kind of a straight drop, which is much more intense, right? They're the most intense of them all. And so that's kind of what we went with. And then now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in these kind of ropes behind. I also went ahead and added into here, you just saw the little, not life savers. I think that's the can. I think that's what they're really called, but the little donuts. And I really wish that they just came with those on the back of the lifeguard chairs. I think that'd be really cool. But we're gonna add in the rope, and then we've got 3 exits, right? So you're gonna pop in and then pop out, which would be really cool. The only thing, and I saw this in a video the other day, and I'm going to start writing down when I see these in the video so I can give credit where credit's due to some of these creators. But they put buoys in, and it just kind of made lanes, so as people they kind of came through, they filtered out. And obviously that's not super realistic, because the buoys in the game aren't going to do anything, but it was one of those things where it just looked really well. And I think everyone knows by now, if you leave the pool closed, guests will leave immediately when they come out of the slides, just kind of like a real exit pool would be, and they go to the nearest exit. And so it actually does work really, really well. And so I just looked, I think it was Mineral. Mineral, his channel's name. And I think that's where I saw it at. He did a video talking about the invisible path, and he showed a really cool slide tower that he made with them. So go check that out. if you have not. I would imagine everyone here has probably seen his stuff, but if you haven't, go check it out because it looked really, really, really cool. Um, but yeah, so then we're putting in this kind of rope area. This is something else that I see a ton that bothers me, is when people just kind of leave this and they put a little garden. And it's like, yeah, you know what's going to happen if you just leave this as a garden? Some teenager is going to go and they're going to just walk back there and they're going to get somewhere they're not supposed to and they're going to get hurt or something's going to happen. So you really need that. So we got that in, and then this is kind of the last major thing we have before we go ahead and kind of put in the foliage and wrap this area up. And this is, I think, the last thing we're going to do in this episode today, and that is the pool area. So we kind of talked about it's the lake, right? It's just one giant outdoor pool. And I tried to kind of think back to when I was younger and, you know, you'd go to a lake and what are kind of some of the things that are at the lake, that are in the lake. And speaking of something that I think would be super cool to put in the game is one of those little bounce things that will fling you. You got the little platform, someone sits on the end, they're like kind of the big balloons. I have no idea what those are called. If you know what those are called, let me know, because I kind of want to find pictures and put that on the list of things to add to this area. Obviously it won't be functional, but I think it would look really cool. But we try to kind of think through what are some things that would be really cool in here. So in our zero depth area, we went ahead and we put in kind of that little archway you saw with some some water kind of falling through it. Looks really good. Right here, this is a little rope jump, and I do think this is one of the areas where I would love to see expansion within the game. I think the water slides are great. I don't know a ton about water slides, so I don't know kind of what style water slides are missing or anything, but what feels like it's missing is activities for once you're in the water. And so like this is kind of this little makeshift platform that goes right into the deep end, right into the diving end. I thought about trying to actually make a little bit of a rock wall there where the diving boards are. I ended up not, purely because I wanted to leave it as kind of an open view of the area. There's that entrance from the main pathway right there, and I just didn't want to block it. I wanted you to walk in and really kind of see that, and if you kind of put in the rock work there, you were going to kind of lose that. So that's why we went ahead and did that. And then this is going to be like a little like log, so you know that log kind of fell. In fact, maybe we need to go back and kind of put like a stump where it fell off of somewhere, and you know it drifted through the lake, and now it's sitting in the middle of the lake, and you know it's been tied down, and we've put a little pump in the hollowed out log and it's kind of sealed it off, so now it's kind of shoots some water up as you can kind of climb over it. And then this little area, which is like a little tunnel you can swim through. Safety, keep in mind, of course. So you've got a little bit of air at the top, so if you can't get all the way through, you can always surface. And then this area, this is one of my favorites, and this is where it's like I really wish Frontier would put some kind of activities in. This would be a really cool one. I used to work at a pool, so I'd say I've not been to a water park in a long time. I used to work at a number of pools, and there were water parks at them. I never visited as a guest. I only ever worked there, but they had this kind of like lily pads almost looking kind of things that were floating, and you had kind of a net above you that you had to climb, and so stuff like that. And so that's kind of what I was going for here. We kind of course put the barriers in the bottom so that nobody can kind of fall through, but it's just kind of this thing that you can swim to and you can climb, kind of like a little obstacle course look that we kind of put in as well, which looked really good. So I did want everything to kind of have to be wood. I think in real life it would probably be fiberglass made to look like wood, but we kind of went with that wood just because it really kind of fits, with the exception of kind of the one thing, that big yellow thing, which is kind of funny. I go back and look at the park every once in a while, even while I'm working on other areas, look at what's been done already, and that is one that I certainly feel like doesn't fit. So we'll see how long that actually lasts within the park. That is one that might not make it all that long, but we're gonna put in now kind of that what I was talking about, kind of that little running logs, right? So those are logs that rotate, and it's kind of that obstacle trying to get through, kind of a rope bridge kind of look, which just came out super well. And then you saw me place this in again right there, that kind of wood thing. We're gonna put some water in there, and this is over kind of in the deeper area, but also kind of over where I said, there's that adult chairs. And this is kind of one of those areas where it'd be really cool if you could kind of put buoys into your pool and then designate areas as like, this is a kid area or this is an adult area, because this would be a really cool area that would just kind of be for adults. You've got kind of the zero depth that ends up not being zero depth, looking over the lake, which would be really cool. But this rope bridge also just super cool. Really happy with how this turned out. Looked awesome. I do feel like, however, this is I think the last thing we put in here, but I do feel like we're kind of missing some things in here. So if you have ideas as to kind of what are some things that would kind of be in a lake or whatever, let me know, because of course we want to expand the area, and this is certainly an area that could be expanded with stuff in the pool, maybe some stuff outside, maybe some more slides. Maybe we divide it into multiple pools, especially if I feel like people aren't going all the way around the lake to ride the water slide. I think that is something that could definitely happen. Put in some beach volleyball courts. I left those out right now, number one, because I'm not a huge fan of putting in stuff that's not actually usable. I don't know. I think it looks fine, and then you open the park, and you're like, oh, nobody uses it. And it just feels like a wasted effort in my mind. And not to say that what people come up with, because I know people have done stuff like this, it's not worth it. It just, for me, is just not something that feels rewarding personally. But we're also going to put some of those in kind of our central island themed area, so didn't really need those right now. Maybe a couple more slides. Maybe we do go back. Maybe if we divide the pools, we kind of do the rock jump with the diving boards. Hot tubs, maybe we put in some fake hot tubs. Maybe we do a beach area. So I don't know. But we're running out of time in this episode. So tomorrow we are going to spend some time working on the themed area as a whole and kind of decorating it. Should be a lot of cool stuff, and then we'll kind of talk about some various things as well, kind of the way I look at developing parks and all that stuff, and kind of where some ideas come from. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.